It's the You Don't Know Ball Show, and we are back continuing our NFL Division Preview series. And once again, as you could tell by the title, we are previewing the AFC South today. We finished up the NFC South in the last episode. If you haven't checked it out, go please do that maybe after you listen to this one. We've also already previewed the NFC and the AFC East, so this is our fourth preview that we got, and we're like 2-3 weeks away from kickoff of the NFL season, so we're trying to push these ones out. So we got 2 this week. We'll probably have another 2 next week just so we can crank them out in time for the regular season. But AFC South, man, this is probably one of the more competitive divisions going into this season, no doubt. I mean, we got 3 legitimate teams that could win it, and they're all, I would say, playoff contenders when they're at their best, for sure. I mean, I know the Colts are kind of fringy right there, but if they played like they did last season, first half, then yeah, they're definitely in the mix of the playoffs. And then you got, of course, the Titans that are still in a rebuild phase, but maybe there's some hope. We'll talk about it here. With these preview series, as I'll mention, we kind of just give a high-level overview of the team, who they brought in, who they lost, and then you'll get our unfiltered, real takes on each team. The realist takes. That's the You Don't Know Ball Show here. Okay, we're very unfiltered, and we are not going to bullshit with you. We're gonna, we're very, we keep it real. I'll just say that. And if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Sam. I'm joined by Capper. Again, we do these shows twice a week as we roll into the NFL season. We're usually going to be doing a prediction reaction show. And yeah, in the preseason, we're obviously just previewing everything. So that's what the preseason's for. And yeah, like I said, Capper, pretty hyped to talk about this one. I'm also interested to see who you got winning the division, because there's 2 teams here that you can make an argument for both. I think the odds right now has the Texans as the favorite, but Jaguars are not far behind, and maybe you got the Colts. I don't know, but it should be a good combo, I feel like.
Yeah, the odds real quick. It's Texans plus 120, Jags plus 210, Colts plus 340, and then the Titans plus 900. So
okay, yeah. So Titans fans might be in for long season ahead, even with some new coaches as we'll talk about. But any off the bat you got with this division? I mean, I feel like we got a new head coach here on the Titans, which is, other than that, we're seeing a lot of returning guys. I believe the Texans staff remains the same. I know the Colts staff remains the same, and same with the Jaguars. So it should be some familiarity with all coaching scheme wise, and then same with quarterbacks. It should be everyone is the same as last season, depending on obviously some injuries going on. So I think we can just start by, so what we're going to do with our previews, we'll start from how they finished from last year into first to last, or sorry, last to first. So we'll start with the Titans, and then we're going to get into the Colts, Texans, Jaguars. Okay, let's get into the Titans now. So last season, as we know, 3-14 record. Very tough to watch them if you're a Titans fan. I didn't watch many of their games because, one, they actually had no primetime games, which is kind of surprising, being a number 1 overall pick in the NFL. Doesn't want to advertise their main, their next star player. But then again, you watch them and it's clear to see why. I mean, their defense was pretty horrible. Offensive, Cam Ward around him, there was just no pieces. He got no help, especially in the offensive line. The scheme, weapons weren't help. But Calvin Ridley, they signed to be preseason last year, Calvin Ridley was getting so much buzz, even in fantasy, he's about to break out. He's about to go for 1,000 yards. I feel like he dropped a lot of balls, just so inconsistent, was never really there for Cam Ward. And so you go into this year 2 under him. They brought in Robert Saleh as the new head coach. They also brought in offensive coordinator Brian Dable from the Giants, who got fired, what was it, week 4 last season, week 5. So they got some new scheme going on there. They got defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, who was the former this is going to be his first year. Last year, he was an assistant in San Francisco, but he was the former Jacksonville head coach back in 2013, 2016. He was also the Colts DC for 2 years. So he's got a lot of experience, although I know in his time in Jacksonville as the head coach, his defenses were not very, nothing to write home about. So we'll see how he works here in the big 2026. In the draft this year, the Titans added Carnell Tate with the 4th overall pick, wide receiver out of Ohio State. We'll get my take on him very shortly. They also got another first-round pick, Kendrick Falk out of Auburn. He's an edge rusher. And then Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas, second-round linebacker. Those are 2 pretty solid pieces. I'm surprised that someone like Kendrick Falk fell that far. I thought he was more of a 20-ish pick. So he should make a pretty significant impact in year 1. And then in free agency, we made the jokes where it was like the Tennessee Giants because they picked up they picked up Brian Dable as their offensive coordinator, but also they picked up 3 guys from the Giants: tight end Daniel Bellinger, Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver, and then cornerback Cordell Flott. So they got him. They also picked up Alontae Taylor from the Saints and John Franklin Myers, defensive tackle from the Broncos. So you look at John Franklin Myers, I thought that was probably their best addition this offseason to pair him up with Jeffrey Simmons in the interior D-line. I think that unit should be very, very sound, but the only problem with the Titans on defense this year is going to be those edge rushers because they don't got a lot of star power. They're going to need some help there. Secondary should, I guess if we want to say in the Titans defense as well, their secondary should be bottom in the NFL. Rookie Kevin Winston was one of the few bright spots last year. He's a safety from Penn State, but other than that, I mean, Alontae Taylor, who they brought in, like I mentioned, he's actually the only defensive back to allow more than 20 passing touchdowns over the last 3 years. So I don't know how great he's going to be here in the big 2026, as I'll say again. And yeah, the defense should not be anything. I know Robert Saleh, he had a very good tenure at San Francisco the past couple of years, and his defense has been very good. But with the pieces around him, it's going to be a hard ask here in his first season. I'm sure the Titans fans in the front office are going to need to, or they expect to see some improvement going into this season. With the pieces around him, though, I'm not sure if we're going to see that. Do you have any takes on the Titans defense before we get into the offense of Cam Ward? Anything to
no, I mean, my big thing is Robert Saleh failed as the Jets head coach, right? Goes back to San Fran. We know this guy can coach a defense. So my biggest thing is what you want to see out of, that defense is probably try to get some more takeaways. I mean, they think they had 6 takeaways last year. That's not going to cut it, and especially when you have a rookie quarterback, you're telling him you need to drive the ball down the field 80 yards every time. That's just not going to help. I think there's going to be improvement on the defense because when you bring in a guy like Saleh, that defense, like I don't care who's on that side, the style of coach he is, he's going to get those guys to be able to play. I just don't think they might be, 20th in defense maybe. 20th to 15th ranked defense, just because of who he is. I think they got a shot at that.
Yeah.
But again, the defensive side is not their biggest worry right now. I think they know that in a year or two, Saleh will be able to get his guys in there and be able to do what he wants to do with that defense. It's just more now on the offensive side. That's their big focus in year 2. That's my big take.
100%. And it's if Cam Ward can take a leap in year 2. And judging off of the vibe that I've got from him last season, because he saw a lot, there was a lot of highlight flashy throws from Cam Ward, throws that maybe 1 or 2 other quarterbacks in the NFL can make. However, there was also a lot of accuracy issues. His receivers didn't help him. There was plenty of drops, and like I mentioned, the offensive line was also bottom in the NFL. You watch Cam Ward in his first preseason game going into this year. Looked very lost. I know it was one preseason game, and he played, I think, 3 to 4 drives. That is not the best first impression you want going into your second year, though. And it makes you wonder, is there going to be a lot of growing pains as he works with offensive coordinator Brian Dable? I think Cam Ward is honestly like a poor man's Caleb Williams at this point. Because Cam Ward can make all those great throws. I see your face. Cam Ward can make all the great throws and unteachable stuff. I just don't see like a clutch gene from him. I know it's been 1 year. But the product that we saw, it just wasn't enough to win games, and that's why this year is going to be crucial for him because he's got the weapons, right? I mean, they brought in Carnell Tate 4th overall. I am not very high on Carnell Tate. I think that he was never this superstar at Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith obviously took away a lot of the attention. Carnell Tate, I feel like he was remembered off of one long touchdown week 1 versus Texas. That's the highlight that gets thrown out a lot. Other than that, in Ohio State's biggest games, he never topped over 50 yards. So he was never this dominant wide receiver at Ohio State. So to go 4th overall, very questioning. I thought Jordan Tyson and even Mekhi Lemon could have been considered a better wide receiver prospect. And you're seeing some clips in camp. He looks great. But what did he do in the preseason? I mean, he was literally just doing cardio out there in the first preseason game. Cam Ward didn't even look his weight. I know it's preseason, but still, not like the good first impression I thought. But hey, a lot of people are high on him. 4th overall pick. So you could say he's got a weapon there. Calvin Ridley, whatever he did last season, he's proved for a couple years in the league that he can be a top guy. Okay, they also got running back Tony Pollard. They brought in Wan'Dale Robinson, like I mentioned, from the Giants, signed him to a pretty significant contract. They also got Tajay Spears. So he's got weapons around him. There's really no excuses, in my opinion, to at least take a step forward and have this offense competent.
Okay. We got a few things to dissect here.
Okay.
One, you cannot compare Cam Ward to Caleb Williams right now.
He's a poor man's Caleb.
No. You can't do it. You can't do it. Caleb Williams has one of the best coaches in all of the NFL. Okay?
I'm talking about just talent. I'm talking about just talent, by the way, but you can continue. Talent-wise.
Okay, just talent-wise, I mean, I think he's got the arm talent. He's got almost the same arm talent as Caleb Williams. I think maybe his frame isn't as big as Caleb Williams, which is kind of tough, but he's just as agile. You know, he can move around in the pocket. My biggest thing is what you just said here is Dabble loves Cam Ward. He doesn't just love him because he went, he's his quarterback and he's the offensive coordinator. No, he tried to get him with the Giants. They tried to trade up to get him on the Giants. So he's got him now, and I think he has a scheme ready for him. And I think they're going to be a dynamic duo. It's just you might have to give it a few weeks, maybe like halfway through the season, because, I mean, you got to be able to get in-game reps. And that's why when you say preseason, the first 3 drives or whatever it was, it didn't look too good. Yeah, it's a completely different offense, but I trust Brian Daboll. I mean,
you trust Brian Daboll after what he did with Daniel Jones? How he basically almost ruined his career?
I think Daniel Jones. I think look at the guys Daboll coached, right? Okay, Josh Allen. You got Dart, Tua, and he even had Favre at one point, right? Okay, so what do those guys all have in common besides, I guess, Tua?
I am not crediting any of Josh Allen's success to Brian Daboll.
You're crazy. Why not? What are you going to compare it to? I know we're getting a little off topic, but why not?
So let me get this back before I proceed to say. So Brian Daboll was how many years in Buffalo?
I couldn't tell you. Probably like 6.
Was he that long with Josh Allen? I mean, he was only with Josh Allen for. So he was in Buffalo from 2018 to 2021.
What?
Yeah, I mean, he gets a lot of credit. I'm just off the I think Josh Allen always had the tools to do it. I just don't know if Brian Daboll should get the success for it.
I think so. I think you got to remember, people were talking about Daboll or people were talking about Josh Allen like a huge project, and guess what? Daboll got him to where he needed to be and then got fired. So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I just got a bad taste with Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones because maybe that was just the head coaching role.
Yeah,
maybe more of an OC. It could fit him better.
But he likes a guy that can scramble. Whatever. I think Cam Ward, right? He doesn't need to become elite this year by any means. I just want to see him get his completion rate up, maybe 20 to 25 plus touchdowns this year, and try not to give up fewer than 40 sacks. Like, we need to get rid of that ball quick. I believe they had 52 sacks last year, if I'm wrong. And I do. Granted, his offensive line is shit, but he's also holding on the ball too long. So one thing about Caleb Williams is he gets the ball out, whether it's going to be an incomplete pass or just thrown out, right? So you need to be able to do that. But I get it. He has all these weapons, but when you don't have an offensive line as a rookie quarterback, things get pretty spooky in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And that's not good because you look at the Titans' offensive line going into this year, it's literally just Peter Skorowski and a whole lot of UPS work.
And I'm pretty pissed off because I'm like, oh, let me go check their draft. They gave up 52 sacks last year. Mm-hmm. Did they draft a fucking O-lineman?
Not in the first 3 rounds.
Not in the first 3 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. So what are we doing here? I get it, like. You get it, your defensive coach wants to build up that defense. But you saw what happened to the Texans with their O-line, right? And that was with a 4-year starter or a 3-year starter, year 3 starter. What are we doing? I get it, defense wins championships. But you want to know what else wins championships? Fucking O-linemen.
I mean, it's true. Look at the Seahawks this year. They won because they were so good in the trenches.
Right. And you have your weapons. Don't get me wrong. Like, they had a great defense. Trenches wins football games. The Eagles, right? The trend is, and it's always been this trend ever since football has been created, the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
What does your O-line look like? What does your D-line look like? And I'll tell you a lot about your football team.
And that's a good point. I feel like this year the Titans aren't expected to compete and contend by any means. Right. It's almost like another bridge year to get Cam Ward some more reps. Maybe he builds that chemistry with Carnell Tate. Next year is when they really beef up in the trenches, whether it's free agency, which you would hope, because if you're bringing in a rookie to make a huge impact on the offensive line next year, then it's like, okay, that's going to take another year or two possibly to develop.
Right.
This is like a bridge gear. I agree with you, though. It's like, why are the Titans not addressing the offensive line? We've seen a lot of teams make this mistake, because especially the Titans, they're not in a position where they have this elite defense, or they have this great trio, maybe like the Bengals, of weapons at his disposal.
Right.
So I don't understand why you're not focusing on the trenches.
Like, I kind of got a question for you. Would you prefer, with this rookie or second-year quarterback, would you prefer your team to put up 20, or let's call it, would you prefer them to put up 30 points a game and give up 40 a game, right? I know this is a little crazy talk. Or would you rather have them put up 14 points a game and only give up 14 points a game, right? I don't know. That's
you want the better defense easily.
Right now,
you're kind of comparing the Texans to the Bengals, I feel like.
No, but I think in year 2, though, I want my quarterback to be protected and being able to get a true...
Okay. I thought you were talking about from like a team aspect. So as from like Cam Ward's position, would you rather have a better defense or a better offensive line?
This year, or just this year, would you rather have production from your offense with your second-year quarterback, or would you rather have production from your defense, knowing that you're probably not even going to win much this year?
I would still probably take better production from your defense, because that's always going to keep you in game.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I just feel like you make a big investment in this quarterback and you don't protect him and you don't go out and show love. Like, yeah, you get all the weapons, but maybe they know something we don't, and maybe this O-line is looking good in camp. Who knows? But I highly doubt it. I want my quarterback to be protected and to get an honest evaluation. It's kind of tough to get an evaluation on a quarterback when they're not getting protected. I mean, Caleb Williams looked like shit his rookie year, right? Yeah. And then Ben Johnson comes in and develops a run game and has one of the best O-lines in the NFL, and he looks pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's a big factor when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, and, not even rookie quarterbacks, just new young quarterbacks. I mean, not all these guys can be Joe Burrow.
Right. Yeah, so with that, when we talk about X factors, so guys, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but for our listeners, we do an X factor for each team. My definition of an X factor is a guy that's really going to the season kind of depends on this guy or coach. It's not necessarily the best player on the team. It's more of like, if he performs well, they are going to win. If he doesn't, they are going to, like, this is like the key to their team. And so for the Titans, it's Brian Dable, for reasons that we just mentioned. I think that can he set up Cam Ward for success in year 2? Because last year the scheme was a huge problem. They didn't run a lot of good play. Can he kind of dumb things down for Cam Ward a little bit so he's not feeling the need to do too much? I think that'll be huge for this offense. Who did you have your X factor, though, for the Titans?
So my X factor is pretty basic. It's going to be Cam Ward. Can you be able to absorb this offense? He's a smart dude. This guy's a film rat, okay? He's got the talent, in my opinion. I've seen him do what he did at Miami. That guy was unbelievable in Miami. All the talent, all the comebacks. He is solid quarterback. We just need him to just take I don't need him to be elite. Just make the next step, all right? It's year 2. Year 3 is when quarterbacks become elite, not year 2.
All right, I think that's going to wrap things up with the Titans. Let's go to our next team in the division, and it is the Indianapolis Colts. And this one's you can go both ways with the Colts, depending on how you look at them. So last season they went 8-9, but they started the year 7-1. Okay, they could have been 8-0 if not for that A.D. Mitchell fumble versus the Rams, if you remember that. And then they go to Pittsburgh. I don't know if you remember that game, and it was the start of the downfall. Daniel Jones threw 3 picks. The offensive line got bullied. Then they go to the Falcons. They play the Falcons in Berlin. They won that game, so then they were at 8-2. And then from then on out, they lost their last 7. And that was like started with the Chiefs loss as well, where they like blew a 20-9 lead against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Completely collapsed, and it was a lot because of the offensive line. Teams just started stacking the box, throwing some more pressure at Daniel Jones, at least in those that 3-4 game stretch when Daniel Jones, before he got hurt. Teams were stacking the box, taking Jonathan Taylor away from the run game and forcing Daniel Jones into pressure situations, and we saw it. He kind of crumbled in that aspect. And you'll get my deeper take into Daniel Jones this season, but just to kind of recap what the Colts did this offseason, who they add, in their draft, they got a second-round linebacker out of Georgia, C.J. Allen, who should be in line to start on this defense. They also, in the third round, picked up safety A.J. Halsey from LSU, who should also be in line to start for this defense. So they got 2 rookies that are going to be there. And then they got in the third round guard Jalen Farmer from Kentucky. Like I said, they're still retaining the same coaching staff with head coach Shane Steichen. They got offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter, and then your boy Capper DC Lou Anarumo. And I want you to touch on Anarumo. Now, he was, for the years, Capper's a big Bengals fan, so he was obviously the defensive coordinator with Cincinnati as they went on their Super Bowl run. He's been great in Indy. Had a lot of success despite some injuries that he dealt with, and maybe even not the best personnel, but I feel like they're always, his schemes and different blitz packages are very tough to game plan for as an offense. What impresses you about Lou Anarumo? Because you kind of put me onto him, I'm not going to lie. I remember a couple points, it was 2 years ago, you were telling me, yo, Lou Anarumo, he's the dog. He's the boy. Some shit.
He is, man. And it's not like because he's an Italian, but I'm just saying, for real, if you think about it, you know that he's doing something right when the Chiefs, in their prime, I'm talking prime Chiefs with Hill and all those receivers, prime Chiefs, they would say, Lou Anarumo is one of the best D coordinators there is in the NFL. I like this dude but the problem is he needs to have the right guys in the defense, right? Mm-hmm. His whole thing is just, you kind of touched on it. His whole thing is basically disguising coverages and leaving his DBs not out to dry, but you got to be able to play one-on-one coverage with him, just straight up. You can't get beat over the top, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a great defense, and it's kind of built to beat all this new age kind of offensive schemes, just kind of the Chiefs had. Mm-hmm. I love him. I didn't want the Bengals to get rid of him. I think he was a scapegoat. He was the reason why the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. That defense got a lot of takeaways. Yeah. Do
you think he could be a head coach in the NFL?
I think he can. I don't think he wants to be. I think he's kind of like the guy over in KC. What's his name? The defensive coordinator. Spags. Spags. He could easily be a head coach, but he doesn't want to. He's happy there. I think Lou's biggest thing was hey, I got Joe Burrow. I got this nasty offense, and they kind of just scapegoated him. Mm-hmm. And you're going to go pick up the guy from ND whose fucking defense got torched in the national championship game the next year. It makes no sense. But I love Lou. I had a few things to talk about with him, but we could keep it going because this kind of involves my X factor here for the Colts.
Okay, let's stay on defense. And judging off what you just said there, I think we have the same X factor. Mm-hmm. And I guess if we can touch on the X factor right now, because as we're talking about the defense, and it's Sauce Gardner, right?
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, when you give up 2 first-round picks for him mid-season, you got to live up to the hype. And last year when Sauce first came over, I thought his first appearance in the international game, was it the Berlin game? Yeah, in the Berlin game against Atlanta. He looked pretty solid. Nothing. I know Drake London might have beat him on one route and had everyone blowing up. Other than that, though, he was pretty solid. And then he got injured a little bit. He had a calf strain, so missed a few games. But still, when they traded for him at the time, he was top 3, maybe the best cover man-to-man corner in the NFL. I know he had some issues like hand fighting. He's had a lot of penalties in the past, but no, he doesn't allow any separation. Forces so much tight windows. This is a superstar cornerback. And now going into this year, his first full season with the Colts, it's time to really prove that on the field. Not saying he hasn't proved it, but it's time to. You got such a high investment from this franchise to you. You got to be the leader of this defense. I think in this year too, him and Chauncey Mooney Ward, I guess they call him. It could be probably one of the best cornerback duos, I would say, in the NFL with that secondary. It's just they're going to have a lot of pressure on him because I don't know the pass rush. Like we talk Ladu. We might pronounce his name wrong. We were talking before. How do you pronounce his name, Ladu? But is he really a true pass rusher? I feel like a lot of times his success is based off of the guys around him opening things up. So I'm not really bought in on the Colts' ability to get after the quarterback, which is going to leave a lot of pressure on guys like Sauce and Chauncey Ward to be left out in one-on-one coverage and have to actually lock up.
Yep.
What do you want to say about Sauce here?
So, I mean, kind of just the same thing. My biggest thing is like Lou needs a shutdown corner in order for him to really put his defense to work. You know, he could disguise coverage. He can move safeties around. He can show 6 at the line and then just only rush 4, right? But he wants to bring that pressure, and he can't bring pressure if he doesn't trust his lockdown corner. Yeah. So it's all on Sauce. And Lou is a DB coach by default. So I think them signing Sauce is probably Lou's call more than anything. Is like, hey, I could get this guy to develop. But my biggest thing is like with this defense, year one, Lou's defenses are hard to understand. Like if you're not most defensive guys aren't smart up there, right? They just like to hit people and do their thing, right? But you gotta kind of be a student of the game for his defense to work. So I think it's actually, him gonna be able to really dig into his defense in year 2 with all the moving around guys, disguising pressures, sending blitzes where you don't know where they're coming from. But it all starts with Sauce Gardner. You have to trust Sauce can lock down that number 1 receiver and not just go bombs over Baghdad over your head every time. Because I got their stats pulled up right now. I mean, their passing yards allowed, they were 31st last year. Like, that's pretty bad. But they were actually pretty good in the run game last year. So, really, it's just, are you going to be able to stop the number 1 receiver, and are we going to be able to get after the quarterback? I think you will be able to get after the quarterback if you trust those 2 guys on the outside, especially Sauce.
I'm assuming you saw the clip of training camp this year with A.J. Brown and Sauce Gardner one-on-one. What was your reaction to that? A lot of people on the internet were trolling Sauce after that shit.
Yeah, okay, number 1, A.J. Brown, what a phenomenal training camp he's having, okay? That's he's gonna be something else this year. I called it early. But DBs in practice always get torched, dude. You're always gonna find a clip of a DB getting torched, in my opinion. Unless you're Terrell Revis, but I bet you Terrell Revis was even getting torched in practice, okay? It's very hard. I mean, this one-on-one shit in practice, it's barely even football half the time. These guys are hitting 3 triple moves. Like, get the fuck out of here. I always hated that. Don't ever show me a clip of one-on-ones in the open field. Fuck that. I just hope Sauce can figure it out. Because
I was going to say, he tweeted out after that clip and he was like, bro, you guys are cherry picking one clip. There's a reason they didn't show the 20, 50 other reps that he took. And it's true. A lot of the Colts, I went and looked at, okay, how was his day as a whole? Some of the Colts beat writers, and they were saying, yeah, he had a couple of pass breakups. Outside of that one, he was pretty locked down. Yeah. So obviously that shit's going to blow up. I love how you got a lot of people trolling, like, oh, Colts gave up 2 first-round picks for this shit, so it's just wash. It's like, all right, dude.
I believe in Sauce this year, man, and it's because I believe in Lou, and I think this defense will take a big step this year. So you say passing game. Yeah,
so you say the defense should take a big step, but let's go over to this offense, right? And it's headlined by quarterback Danny Dimes. Is he healthy? So he tore his Achilles, right? And that was week 11, week 12, week 10, one of those 3. And typical full recovery time for a torn Achilles is 18 months. Okay, and it's not even been a year yet. He looks in training camp, he's not pushing properly off of that foot into some of his throws. And even he said in a couple interviews that there's still progress to be made, whatever that means. I'm assuming the Colts still anticipate he's going to be ready by week 1, but there is a reason why Anthony Richardson is still QB3 on the roster. They haven't done anything with him yet, so we'll see what that happens. But assuming Danny Dimes is healthy, I still think last year a lot of points he crumbled against the blitz when the pressure got to him. Daniel Jones is an elite quarterback when he is well protected and everything, and there's no pressure on him. When everything is perfect, he can deliver the fucking football, and he knows how to put it where it needs to be. However, we saw versus the Steelers at Pittsburgh when the interior O-line was collapsing and there were some guys in his face and Jonathan Taylor wasn't setting, picking up 3-4 yards on first down, that's when you saw the mistakes happen. Even in Arrowhead, when the Colts went on the road, towards the end of the game, when Spags started dialing up some good pressure, good blitz packages, it was 3 and outs, like 4 straight times, and the Colts absolutely choked that lead. You saw Daniel Jones making some horrible mistakes. He was throwing it to like 3 different guys. So that's my point. It's like he needs to take a better step. Like if the Colts want to be a legitimate team, the offensive line needs to be elite at all points of the season with Daniel Jones. And they should be, right? They're considered a top 5 unit going into this season, as they just need to stay healthy. You know, Quentin Nelson at left guard's an absolute stud. They got Jalen Travis, right tackle. He's right tackle. Jalen Travis is at the right tackle is the only question mark, I would say, on the team. He was a rookie last year. He started the last 4 games, so he needs to be the guy that kind of dials in. But other than that, those other 4 guys on the line have a lot of experience, and they should be able to hold their ground a little bit. But then again, we see some of the games where they aren't at their best. Can Daniel Jones make up for it? He hasn't really proved it. I know that in the first game, one of the first games of the season versus the Broncos, they brought some pressure on him, and he made some good throws. But it's like early in the season like that, when there's not a ton of pressure on you, and it's like a 1 o'clock game, I would still hope you can do it. But when it's primetime games, when you're going on at Arrowhead, when you're game of the week, and you get those really, really tight situations, I don't know if I trust Daniel Jones.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I will say this though, I would probably pick this team to win the division if he wasn't coming off of a torn Achilles.
It's a huge injury, right? Like
yeah,
it's not something you could just brush over.
You can't. I mean, he's granted. The only good thing is he wasn't really mobile. Well, he was kind of mobile, but not. You know, he didn't rely on his legs all the time. Mm-hmm. But I can't really harp on him right now because I'm not expecting anything out of him with this injury. I think it's going to take the first few weeks are going to be brutal for him. I think it's all going to fall on Jonathan Taylor. Is he going to be able to, him and that O-line, are they going to be able to carry majority of the workload, right? And then you also got Tyler Warren. You would think he's going to have a pop-off year again this year, but I don't know. And then you also Alec Pierce, is he going to be able to step up? That's their number one. That's their number one. Shout out Glenn Ellen, good guy. But I mean, is he going to be the number one? I don't think so. I think it's going to be more like they're focusing on Tyler Warren as their number one, kind of doing the old Bears play. And then Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and then you even have Keenan Allen now as a veteran presence, which is kind of a solid pickup if he could stay healthy. But it's hard for me to really say anything about Daniel Jones because I would agree with you. With what you just said, I would agree 100% on what you just said. But I got to give him an excuse just because of a torn Achilles. Maybe the year after I can give him that. But it's hard.
It's hard because it's hard to pick this team to really win the division because of the Daniel Jones injury and the Alec Pierce injuries I'm going to talk about. So just to touch on his weapons really quick, of course, we got running back Jonathan Taylor. First 7 weeks of the season, he was even getting MVP buzz. So he's obviously one of the best backs in the game behind this offensive line. He's going to be effective. Wide receiver Alec Pierce, who they just signed this 4-year, $114 million contract to, I think it was deserved. I mean, you watch his contested catch ability. It's right up there with George Pickens, honestly, and he's such an explosive playmaker. So I love that signing. He's why the Colts felt comfortable getting rid of Michael Pittman. He's got to step. He's going to be their main guy, but the only problem is he's injured, right? So he had off-season surgery on his was it left ankle? Yeah, off-season surgery on his ankle. Now I guess he started indoor workouts, and head coach Shane Steichen says that he's going to be back sooner than later. Not really sure what that means, but bottom line is he's missed all of training camp up to this point. He just had another PRP injection last week. I mean, the season starts in 2-3 weeks. So is he going to be ready to go by week 1? I would have some doubts there. And without him, okay, now you're relying on Josh Downs and Nick Westbrook-Akine. I mean, Keenan Allen. Yeah, we saw it. So they did just pick up Keenan Allen the other day. A lot of people are like, okay, was that because of Alec Pierce's injury? Or I mean, I guess it's the Colts say it's not a signal for that reason. It's hard not to believe that. I don't think that's really the case, though. So I'm just got some questions on this weapons. Like you said, Tyler Warren's got to be the main guy, and I do think that he's got top 5 tight end in the league ability if he's not already there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need some threat at receiver. You need a deep threat. I mean, that's what made them very explosive last season, this offense. So hopefully Alec Pierce can stay healthy because he's crucial.
Yep. No, I agree.
All right, why don't we go over to our next team in the division? I think we wrap up on the Colts there, and we're going to go to the Houston Texans. Potential. I haven't made any Super Bowl predictions yet or any playoff predictions. Maybe we'll do that on one of our final shows before the season. But I think right now the Texans got to be one of my top choices to win the Super Bowl, and that's just because of this defense. Now, to start with last season, they went 12-5. They made it to the playoff where they beat Pittsburgh in the wild card round and then had the unfortunate loss to New England. Definitely a game they should have won if not for C.J. Stroud turning the ball over 4 times. And the more remarkable thing about their season last year was that they started 0-3 and they wound up finishing 12-5. So they I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I feel like we see it a lot of times with teams, especially early in the season. Oh, like if you start 0-3, you only get a 1% chance or something to make the playoffs. We see that a lot, but the Texans overcame that, made it. I mean, and it was because of their defense. They were number 1 in total defense, 6th in passing, 4th in rushing. They only had the only quarterback to throw over 250 yards last season against them was who, Capper? Can you guess?
No, I can't guess. I'm going to probably say Caleb Williams.
No, it was actually Josh Allen, which is surprising to me because if you remember that game on Thursday night, Josh Allen was absolutely they made him see ghosts, I thought. But he was the only quarterback to throw over 250 yards. I know Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was the only quarterback they allowed more than 2 touchdowns to, but that was because they were all garbage time. They were up by 20, 30 points. So this defense was absolute stacked, and they should be again this year. To touch on the draft, we'll start on the players added this offseason. In the draft, they got their first round pick was Keelan Rutledge from a guard from Georgia Tech. He was 26th overall. They got defensive tackle Caden McDonald in the 2nd round. I'm surprised he fell to the 2nd round. What an absolute pickup for that defense. He's going to be huge for him. And then with the 3rd round pick, they got tight end Marlon Klein from Michigan. Look at the free agency signings. They picked up running back David Montgomery from the Lions, probably their biggest one, or Reed Blankenship, you could say, was their biggest signing. So they got Reed Blankenship added from Philly to this defense. That is going to be this secondary is just unreal.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Real quick, this defense is probably one of the best defenses assembled in the NFL in a long, long time.
It's not crazy to say that.
No, it's not. I mean, this defense gets me bricked up when I watch them. I'm dead ass. I mean, there's no weaknesses in this defense. And the crazy thing is they finished top 2 to 3 in every defensive category last year. Yeah. And they'll still probably find a way to improve because D'Amico Ryans is fucking a dog. He is one of the best. I like him because he's a defensive coach, but he's also a player's coach. So, and he's young too. He's played the game. He's one of the only few guys that have played that in the NFL and it has this head coaching career and it's actually working out. If he could just find a fucking quarterback and O-line, we'll get into that. But man, do I love this defense. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane. And credit to D'Amico Ryans in an NFL world where we're seeing so much coaching turnover and not a lot of guys sticking. He's definitely proved that he should be in Houston for a long, long time with how he's been coming together. And we can say on the defense, right? So obviously we mentioned the best secondary with Derek Stingley, Kamari Lasser at cornerback. Kalen Bullock and Reed Blankenship are going to be the back end. You also got Jalen Petre, who's so underrated. He's kind of like their Swiss Army knife. They can line up at a slot corner, back and safety. You can put them all over the field. Very key. And then, of course, this defensive line. Now, I think they're the best defensive line in football. A lot of people might have the Rams above them with Myles Garrett addition. No. But I disagree. I mean, Will Anderson might be underrated with how much. I feel like he needs way more praise than he gets. I think he's on. I'm not going to say he's on Myles Garrett's level because nobody's on Myles Garrett's level. But if you wanted the next best guy, I think Will Anderson is at. I mean, we knew that coming out of college. He was this freak. And then you pair with Daniil Hunter on the opposite side of him. This was the best pass rushing duo. And then their interior, it's nothing insane. They brought in Logan Hall from the Bucs. He was kind of a rotational piece. They got Tommy Togai. I think I botched his name a lot. But then you got rookie Caden McDonald coming in from Ohio State that should start, I would say. I know he was taking some second-team reps in the preseason, but I think that's just because he was a rookie. So if he lives up to his hype now, this defensive line, like I said, You got best secondary, best defensive line, and their linebacking core as well. With Henry Toto and Aziz, like I always botch his name too. Shakir.
They got some tough names. They got some tough names on that defense, which is why they're so good. I mean, these guys got some junkyard dogs back there.
So I don't see how you can't have this defense in the NFL. And when I mentioned, like, when we talk about Super Bowl teams, defense wins championships. That's been the saying, and this is the best defense in the league. They are going to be an absolute force this season. You got anything to add there on their D? I know you touched on that.
No, not really. I mean, it's going to be a shame if this offense can't win the division, can't go deep into the playoffs with this defense, barring injuries.
Dude, so I got a little bit of a rant to do with this offense.
All right.
We know their defense is going to be great. It's a matter of, can CJ Stroud in this offense put up points and not turn the ball over 4 times? Because I think if the Texans turn the ball over 3 times in the divisional round, they probably win that game. If they just didn't. That pick 6 killed them. They were still in it in the second half and just couldn't capitalize. And and with that, I think CJ Stroud is getting a little too much blame of it, especially to stay on that divisional round game. I mean, he was missing his top target, Nico Collins. Dalton Schultz wasn't there at tight end, his second most targeted player, I would say. Offensive line was decimated with injuries. Okay, in that game specifically, Christian Kirk had a crucial drop. Caden Stover at tight end had a drop. Woody Marks had a huge fumble. They come out the second half, they're driving down, about to score a touchdown. Woody Marks fumbles it, turns it over. Christian Gonzalez pops it out. This wasn't all on CJ Stroud. Does he need to take better care of the football? 100%. The pieces around him, though, were not helping him. And with CJ Stroud last season, rushing offense wasn't good. Did you know that since CJ Stroud was drafted, the Texans are 31st in the NFL in rushing success rate? He has never had a good run game around him. Never had a good offensive line like we talked about. And to touch on the offensive line, shouldn't be that good. It should be the best unit on paper going into the year that he's had, but that doesn't mean this unit's still good. I mean, I looked up PFF's rankings before this. They still had him ranked around 27th. There's reason for optimism with left tackle Arante Ursary. He's having some nice moments as a rookie right now. He was their second rounder out of Minnesota last year. He had some nice moments last season. Okay, they brought in veteran Wyatt Teller. He comes in from the Browns. He should be at guard. Ed Ingram, he was a former second-round pick that they gave this contract to. They gave him some money, so he should step up as well. And they also signed Braden Smith in the offseason at offensive tackle. Now, the key for them on this offensive line, and he's actually going to be my X factor this season.
No way. We got the same fucking X factor, dude.
Is their rookie, Keelan Rutledge. He is their X factor. And let me tell you something about this guy. So he is the rookie guard out of Georgia Tech. They call him the Red Rocket? I mean, he's a ginger over here, okay? Mm-hmm. And this dude is a dog. We just saw clips of him. He was getting into scuffles with Max Crosby in their joint practices this week.
Fuck Max Crosby. He was getting in scuffles with Will Anderson in practice. That's a fucking dog. A rookie going at Will Anderson. And they say Will Anderson's kind of like a calm, collective guy, like, you know, in practice. But if you get under his skin, I like that out of a rookie. And he's a ginger, so you know he probably got bullied as a kid.
And that's the thing, though. This guy is a dog. You watch him at Georgia Tech. There was there's clips of him on the sideline. He's got like a bloody nose. I think there was something. I could be pulling this out of my ass right now, but I thought I saw a story about him getting into a car accident and he came back like a couple days later with still in practice. So this dude is just a dog. It's so tough. Like one of the toughest guys you'll see in the NFL. And he's been creating a lot of buzz, a lot of hope for this offensive line. He's got to be their X factor because you also don't really know. He's slotted in right now, week 1, to be their starting center. As a rookie, to be the starting center is a big ask. But I've seen some moves where he's been at left guard. So I don't really know where they're going to put him. I'm assuming it's going to be the center position, and that is going to be huge. He needs to be crucial in this run game. From the preseason tape that we've had a couple days, he just seems like a guy that's always out there seeking contact. He's trying to find the next blocker. He's never like looking scared up there. From a rookie, I know it's preseason, that's pretty promising, and he needs to keep that up because, like I said, the rushing attack, you brought in David Montgomery, who should be the good back. Him and Woody Marks is a good duo. The offensive line, those guys up front got to win at the line of scrimmage so they can have it and they can establish the run game and put less pressure on CJ Stroud.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, the reason why I picked him is strictly because of this run game. Okay, this run game was brutal last year, and Georgia Tech, their quarterback was basically another running back. You might as well have called him a fullback the way he was running around getting concussions. Great fucking ball player. So I'm expecting him to fully ramp up this offensive line run game. If you can just become average, right? Like you don't gotta be top 10, you don't gotta be top 15. Just become an average O line, especially in the run game. This team will be in the championship. At least they'll be competing for it. I mean, they're going to have a tough couple weeks just because this offensive line is all new, really. This is their first time, not like rookies, but there's not many guys that played together, right?
Yeah.
So an O-line, you kind of gotta feel each other out, got to figure out. I'm not going to act like I know much about the offensive line shit, but I do know, just being a Bengals fan, it's tough when you're in the beginning of the season when you got guys that haven't played together in a while. But I will say respect to the Texans because they basically admitted, hey, we fucked up on this O-line. And they said, we're going to do something about it. And what they do? They drafted the center. They went out and got a veteran guy, and they went out and got 2 other guys, correct? So they basically just said, hey, we screwed up. That's on us. We're going to go fix it right now. At least try to, which I love to see. That's awesome to see out of an organization. I think because they know they are wasting a Super Bowl caliber defense.
And let's hear, okay, with that, I want to go back to CJ Stroud. I was on Twitter the other day, and one of my first notifications that popped up from the preseason was like a clip of CJ Stroud just walking onto the field, and he got trolls on Twitter saying, can't believe he's already washed, just from a clip of him walking onto the field. It's like, dude, he gets so much, a lot of recency bias gets involved in that. Yeah, he threw 4 picks. Justin Herbert threw 4 picks in the wild card to the Texans the year prior. Where was all the hate on Justin Herbert? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
New haircut, new hair. What are you going to say about Herbert?
I was going to say Justin Herbert didn't have the number 1 defense in the NFL.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. He still should get the, exactly. Anyways, you got new haircut Stroud coming into the season. I was kind of surprised by that. I liked his old haircut. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but hey, he wants to go shaved head, I guess. Anyways, he played way better last season than a lot of people think up until the playoff. And like I said, even in the playoff, missing a lot of guys, especially on the injuries to the offensive line. 6 games to end the year. He had them on a 6-game winning streak, and that was after coming off of missing 3.5 games because of a concussion. Last year, he had a higher QBR than in 2024. You saw some really good games from him. I remember at the Chargers, he had a couple of like really good deep balls. He had a great game against the Colts where he led a nice game-winning drive, I believe. He went into Arrowhead and beat Mahomes, made some very clutch, crucial pickups on 3rd down there. And he's overcoming so much in this Texans offense. He's got to overcome, like, I feel like they're on 3rd and longs almost every single drive, and he's got to make up for it. Like I said, and it's mainly because of the run game. Just for him, it's like you can't let those mistakes linger on too long. And I think that over time, he comes out in the rookie season, absolutely balls up. You got people hyping him up like he's the next Peyton Manning. Rookie cards are through the roof. Yeah, everyone just glazing his shit because he wins a playoff game his rookie year versus the Browns that time. I think he had like 2 electric touchdown passes, and everyone is drinking the Kool-Aid like he's the best guy. But then you hype him up. He's not like he's going to regress a little bit. Sophomore slump, we see that, and then everyone jumps off ship. And I just think that we give him. We're not treating him fairly as a quarterback because he came in with he took the NFL world by storm. It was very high, unrealistic expectations from him, and now he's settled back down to earth. With that, too, I want to just touch on the weapons, and then you can give your take on Stroud. So, obviously, Nico Collins is going to be their main guy this year. I mean, I think Stroud and Nico Collins are the top 10 QB wide receiver duo in the league. I really do. You got Xavier Hutchinson, who's from Ohio State. The Texans has got 3 wide receivers from Iowa State, which is kind of crazy. Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Noel, and then Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins actually just got hurt, though. He tore his ACL, so he's not going to be on the field this season. Tight end Dalton Schultz, and then running back Demo and Woody Marks. Because Jaden Higgins, like I just mentioned, tore his ACL, going to be out for the season, Texans just signed both Sterling Shepard and Zay Jones, some 2 vets. We'll see if they really make an impact. They're probably going to be wide receiver 3-4 guys. They also got Tank Dell, who I didn't mention. He looked explosive in some of his clips. He's coming back from a brutal injury, but he's going to need a lot more time to get back in football shape. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the season on the PUP list. I think at the bottom line, Nico Collins needs to stay healthy, and I would look out for Xavier Hutchinson to take a next step in this offense and be Stroud's clear number 2, Because you watch him in the playoff game when Nico Collins was hurt, Hutchinson had 13 targets that game. So he's got a lot of talent. It's just I'm looking for him to take that next step and be more of a contested catch threat that kind of complements Nico. So, yeah, with that, just kind of go over to the personnel. Stroud, do you think he gets too much hate? Or are you...
I think he gets a little too much hate, but I will say, I mean, he better watch a lot of Jalen Hurts film because that's all you need to be, okay? Game manage the shit out of this team, okay? As well as Bo Nix. Basically, same guys, game managers, do your thing. That's all you got to do. Don't pick it off. Take a sack. Fuck it. Your defense is probably going to get you the ball back anyways. So you don't need to force anything. I really do believe that this running game will pick up. For some reason, I just feel like they can do that. And if he has a running game and he still fucks up, he is not going to be there next year. He will not be there.
I just thought he was asking for $70 million on his next contract, and the Texans were like 50-55.
Let me say one thing too. Okay, I mean, he had this phenomenal rookie year, right? Then he's walking around the media, I'm him, talking about how great he is, and now look at him. Now year 3 is the year 3 pop for quarterbacks. Year 3 pop. That's when you're supposed to make your next step. Are you going to be elite or are you not going to be elite? We're going to cut him some slack here with this offensive line and all the weapons being gone. But this year is the biggest year of C.J. Stroud's career. Because if I'm the Texans, I'm trading him, cutting him, whatever it is, because I think they picked up his fifth year option. Right. But I'm going out and finding a quarterback that could I'll pick up Joe Flacco. I bet you Joe Flacco could probably fucking figure this out.
Bro. Joe Flacco is not even coming close.
I mean, dude, Joe Flacco's at least mature enough to know, like, hey, I have a defense behind me. I don't take the sacks. He could sit there and just be a body bag. Take the sacks and make the throws that are there, and that's it. That's all you have to do, CJ Stroud. That's it. You don't have to be Caleb Williams. I know you want to be, but you're not going to be. Just be Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix. Just be a game manager.
I'm not going to argue with on that. All right, let's wrap that up and go to our final team of the division, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who won it last year with a 13-4 record. As we know, they lost in the wild card round to the Bills. Pretty tough loss, especially at home. Thought they had a chance there. Look at their defense last year. They forced the second most turnovers in the NFL with 31. Elite in the run game. I feel like they've outperformed a lot of expectations. Like, they were never really the star power on their team. They never really were expected to be this elite run defense. And out of nowhere, you're getting production from a lot of guys that nobody even knew of or heard of coming into the year. And that's credit to head coach Liam Cohen and the job that he's done in Jacksonville. And also defensive coordinator Anthony Campanale. Like I said, it's all the same coaching staff as well, with offensive coordinator Grant Udinsky, who's staying in there. Hopefully I said his name right. But to start on the defensive side, or I guess we can start with some of the additions that they had. Let's start with the Jacksonville's draft class. So they didn't have a first-round pick because of Travis Hunter. They selected and traded up for the year prior. In the second round, they got tight end Nate Borkacher from Texas A&M. Third-round defensive tackle for Albert Regis from Texas A&M as well. So 2 A&M guys. And then third-round pick, they got guard Emmanuel Pregnon, who is going to be he got to watch here because he was a first-round talent that slipped into the third round because of some medicals. He's also turning 25 this year. He's probably going to be starting on the offensive line, though, maybe at left guard. I know Liam Cohen said that he needs to still settle in, but looking at the Jacksonville and what they got going on the offensive line, which we'll get into more details about, they're going to need him. They're going to need him badly. So, okay, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. Now, they lost some key guys. They lost Devin Lloyd, linebacker, all-pro linebacker last season. And they also lost cornerback Greg Newsome, who was a starter. Now, Newsome, I say he was a key guy, but that was because he pretty much played all the time. He wasn't very good in coverage, so I don't think it's a huge loss. But Devin Lloyd, the season that he had last year, just being like a ball hawk, he had so much turnover, so much interceptions from him. He was flying all over the field, great tackler. However, it kind of was an outlier year. Maybe it was, some people question if, like I even brought that in the Panthers when I was talking about them. It was his best year ever in a contract year. I don't know. We need to see it again from him to see him replicate that production, which is why I don't think Jacksonville is going to have like that hard of a time replacing him. Ventrell Miller is going to fit his spot at linebacker, and I think that he can do it just fine. Their key guys on defense as well off the edge are going to be Trevon Walker and Josh Allen. Those are probably their two highlighted names. And then defensive tackle Eric Armstead. There's some questions there in the interior. And then at cornerback, as we know, Travis Hunter is going to be their number one, I would say. And then Monteric Brown outside of Travis. They also still got Foye Oluwakin at linebacker as well. So that's kind of an overview on the players that they got there. I think Jacksonville, when you look at their defensive unit as a whole, they're just very well coached. Like I said, Anthony Campanale, he gets the most out of his guys. And he gets, like, what I mean by that is maybe they're not the most talented dudes on paper, but they're always living up to their potential. And that's just because maybe the scheme is putting them in the right spots to be successful. So I don't really have concerns with this defense. Yes, they did lose some talent, I would say, but they should still be a fearful squad, which is surprising to me when I see like ESPN's list just came out the other day, and they had them ranked as the 31st defense in rushing, like the 31st rushing defense, which is mind-blowing. And I think that's just because they're assuming Devin Lloyd was a huge part of it in their talent on paper, but like this was the number one run defense last year. So they're expecting a huge drop-off. I don't know. Do you got to take in that? Like any what do you think about that on D?
No, I think that run defense is perfect. I mean, that thing, they're perfectly fine on the defensive side. The biggest thing is like they just kind of need to get to the quarterback. I saw something, they had 255 pressures, but they only had 32 sacks. Mm-hmm. So if they could turn some of those into sacks, I mean, this defense could be really different. They need to improve on the passing defense. But I think, if you keep Travis Hunter over at corner and let's say forget about the offensive side, maybe 1 to 2 plays, 3 plays, I think that will help them out a little bit. I think I'm going to just throw my X factor out right now just because he's a defensive guy. Trayvon Walker is the X factor because Josh Hines Allen, right? He can't be the only one that is feared on that edge. If Trayvon Walker can just turn in his 3.5 sacks into 10.5 sacks, this defense is going to be nasty in the passing game. And I also was seeing some things where they were saying the interior D-line is kind of tough with the passing game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you, if you have 2 guys on the outside that are going to be able to get to the quarterback and they're a genuine threat and offenses are scared of them, that frees up the interior line. I don't want to do anything with that interior line because their run defense is very good. So I don't know. I think I like the Jags defense a lot. If they could just get to the quarterback, turn those pressures into sacks, it's going to be spooky. And they're going to need it because, dude, they're going to need it big time. They got to play fucking Burrow. They got to play Mahomes. They got to play who else? Lamar. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
They got a brutal schedule. Like I said, I'm not very high on the players on defense outside of someone like Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, Travis Hunter for sure. But I do like the coaching staff, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to outperform expectations once again this year. However, the issue, and we'll go over to the offense, and I got some concerns with this offense, which is surprising to hear from me because I do think they have the best wide receiver room in the NFL. I actually do. But some concerns I have for this out. Now, as I was going over the players that they lost on this year, you might have been listening and be like, okay, what did you forget to mention who they added this offseason? Maybe some guys from free agency. Who did they bring on? Well, there's a reason I didn't say anyone because they didn't add anybody. The only free agent that they really added that's worth noting is running back Chris Rodriguez from the Commanders. Because other than that, they signed cornerback Dane Jackson for some depth. He retired. They signed Tristan Colin, veteran O-line depth. He also retired. Oh yeah, they got Quentin Bohanna. He was released like the other week. So they brought in nobody from free agency. And the thing with this offense, why I have my real concerns with, is their O-line should be very, very bad. Now, it might be the worst in the division. I feel like this whole division has bad offensive lines besides the Colts. I mean, the Jaguars, the Texans and the Titans all have pretty bad O-lines, but this interior on the Jacksonville is a major, major concern. Their right guard, Patrick McCarry, just got hurt. So what did the Jaguars try to do to replace him? Signed an even worse guard by trading. Sorry, they didn't sign him. They traded with him, the Giants, Daniel Falele. I have no idea why he was even worth a day 3 pick. Now, you look at him last week. So he was so bad in the Giants preseason game. That's why probably John Harbaugh wanted to dump him and give him to Jacksonville. But this dude got bullied when he was on the Ravens last season. Pretty much every play. Lamar bailed him out half the time. So the fact that the Giants got a day 3 pick for him and he's supposed to be your answer at guard play, major, major concern. I mean, he allowed 30 pressures and 4 sacks on the Ravens last season. And it probably would have been more if your quarterback isn't Lamar Jackson. So with him on the offensive line, they got Walker Little. He should be at tackle. I know Jags fans aren't super high on him. I don't know much about him, but from what I've been reading about, they don't really trust him. At least fans don't trust him at tackle. Cole Van Lanen is coming back at left tackle. He's probably their best lineman, but he's also been a little bit banged up, so we'll have to see it. And then it's just like this offensive line, it's almost Sean McVay-ish, where you're hoping that, again, Liam Cohen could get them to overperform from their expectations. Because I don't see this run game, especially when another guy that they lost was Travis A-Chain. If you tuned into our last episode, Etienne A-Chain. So they lost. I'm going to still call him Travis Etienne. A-Chain. I feel like Devon A-Chain. So they lost Travis Etienne. So now their main running back is going to be Bashal Tutin, who is an explosive guy. I mean, he deserves his shot being the RB1. He's not like someone that's going to bully you pound for pound. That's why they brought in Chris Rodriguez. I think Chris Rodriguez is going to be the more power runner in short yardage scenarios. They signed him to a 2-year, $10 million contract. And you watch him in Washington last year. He was kind of their guy after they were over with the Bill, Jacory, Krosky, Merritt, Hype, whatever. With this run game, I don't know if they're really going to get going behind this offensive line. It's going to be a huge task. And that's not going to open things up in this passing game. Have you looked into this offensive line at all? I don't know if you have.
I have. So I don't. I just know about last year, right? And I do know their biggest problem for an offense, they were ranked 31st in average third down distance. You want to know why? Because they couldn't run the fucking football. So my biggest thing is I think I'm going to trust Cohen and think that he's going after the run game and he trusts Trevor Lawrence and his scheme to get the ball out quick. So kind of not fuck pass protection, but we're focusing on the run game and we have to get better at it because they just need to be average. I don't give a fuck who's in the backfield, okay? You find an athletic guy, a 3rd round draft pick, 4th round draft pick, put him back there. There's no, like, running backs overrated in my opinion, unless you're coming out of the backfield catching passes like Gibbs and Robinson, Saquon, all those guys. But I do think this offense will be a top 10 offense again, even though the O-line is not as good, because I think they're going to find a way to deliver a run scheme kind of offense where all you need to get them is 4 yards, 3 yards on first down. You need to be able to run the football when they know when the defense knows you're running the football. Okay. I mean, the fact that they were ranked, I think they were ranked like 6th best offense last year.
Yeah.
And they were 31st in average third down distance. That's pretty fucking crazy. Okay. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm going to trust Cohen and he's going to be able to figure out this run game. And this O-line is going to be able to figure out this run game. I don't need you to be Christian McCaffrey and be the Eagles and the Bears and, rush for 150 yards a game. I just need you to get the yards you need to get, which is 2 to 3 yards on first down. That's it. And let us cook, because Trevor Lawrence is about to have a great year this year.
Well, that's the thing. We're talking about the offensive line and the run game because those are the real concerns that I have with this offense, because the passing offense should be one of the best in the league. I mentioned before that I think the Jaguars have the best wide receiver room in the NFL, and you look at them, it's because Brian Thomas Jr., Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, and Travis Hunter. You're talking about 4 legitimate receivers right there. I don't think there's a better group of 4 guys like that in the NFL. Parker Washington, especially, I think that he's going to emerge as Trevor Lawrence's number one target. I think in training camp, from the buzz that we've gotten, he's actually been Trevor's top guy. I mean, he's catching everything thrown his way. Some interesting fact I saw too. Parker Washington's morning routine. I saw a clip from him. He came out during this offseason. What he does, he wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, leaves by 4:50, gets to the facility anywhere between 4:55 and 5 a.m., and then he's starting right when he gets there. His quote, he says, "Then I'm starting right when I get there. Quick change, right on FaceTime with my trainer for prep, and then if I lift, I'm right to lift." So the point I get with that, he literally turns on the lights to the facility and beats everybody there. You've seen even Travis Hunter and Jacoby Myers talk about like, oh, it's almost like a competition who can get there first. Nobody is beating Parker Washington. And I say that because this is a guy that kind of came out of nowhere last season. I know he's been in the NFL for a couple years, I think, right? And maybe like 1 or 2 years. And all of a sudden, you just saw this like athletic yak ability from this guy latter half of the season. We're like, where did he come from? I mean, I remember thinking back to the Broncos game when he made like 2 like long touchdown. He made 1 touchdown grab that was almost one hand, I believe, in the end zone, and then he had like a 50-yard yak where he juked out 2 defenders. Insane. Even in the Bills wild card round, he made some really tough catches all game. He was like, the Bills had no answer for Parker Washington. So I think from a fantasy aspect, by the way, fantasy football, I'm drafting Parker Washington as the top guy on this team. He's going to be the number one. And then that Jacoby Myers coming opposite of him, that a huge addition late mid-season last year. I almost think that he saved the Jaguars season. Just his presence, another target for Trevor. And with that, Brian Thomas right now, I'm getting so much conflicting reports. I don't know if you've looked into Brian Thomas, but it's like sometimes I'm seeing that, oh, he's still going to be the number one guy, but now I'm seeing he might be the third option. I think like, and Liam Cohen's kind of going back and forth because Brian Thomas, obviously his rookie year was this stud, came in from LSU, one of the best receivers in the league. Like he was up there with like, it's on pace with who was the Marvin Harrison, right? Or who was in his class? Okay, yeah,
Marvin Harrison, I think was.
Or I might be thinking of Malik Neighbors, or maybe he was in that class. No, he was in the same class of. He was in the class before that, I think, right? No. I don't know. I'm totally out of it. But anyways, you watched Brian Thomas last year. His confidence was dropped. I mean, I remember there was a ball in the end zone where he like had made no effort to. He looked very scared going over the middle, and his confidence was shot. He saw some more success towards the end of the year, so maybe he can bounce back and use that. I also saw in OTAs this spring or summer, him and Trevor were connecting on more deep balls. I'm just kind of I don't really know what to think of him. I don't know if I should buy or sell his stock because it could be getting down even worse with some of these other guys stepping up. But he could also be the guy that really people are now overlooking because they got to account for. And that's what makes this receiver room so good. There's just like a lot of guys you got to account for. I would think Brian Thomas is still going to be the guy that the number one cornerbacks follow, and that's just going to open things up for Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington.
Yeah. And you're talking about Brian Robinson's draft class, right?
Yeah, who was he? I'm forgetting.
It was a 2024 draft class.
Okay.
So
who's the receiver taking over him? He wasn't the number one receiver, right?
No, he was not. I'm not. He might be the number one receiver.
Was he? Yeah, I totally forget.
Yeah. Because I'm looking here. Granted, I just did a quick Google search, but yeah, I'm not seeing any big names, but I may be wrong too. But
it was Marv's. It was Marv's.
Is that Marv's year?
Well, Marv was 2024. Yeah, so he was the 23rd pick in the first round. So Malik Neighbors and Marv got picked above him. Okay.
Technically, I'd still take him over both of them, anyways.
No shot, dude.
I mean,
give some respect to Marvin Harris. I can't wait to talk about the NFC West, bro. And I'm gonna rip on the Cardinals.
I just don't like Marvin Harrison's attitude, but I'd also have a bad attitude if I was on the Cardinals. No, man. I'll say this though about the Jags: if they survive weeks 2 through 6 with a winning record, okay, they're making the playoffs. That means they're 3-2. They'll be 4-2. Because week 1 they play the Browns.
Yeah.
And I think they will be legitimate contenders. Because, dude, that schedule is completely nasty. They got to play. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. And I know.
Yeah.
Hold on. They got to play Browns at home. Then they go to Denver. Then they play New England. Then they play Cincy. Then they play Philly at home. Then they play Houston at home. And then they have a bye. So right there, we're going to learn all about the Jags and their offense and their defense. Are they going to be able to get pressure? Are they going to be able to get those sacks? We'll see. But I will say this. I think Trevor Lawrence, there's going to be some MVP talks, because if he goes through this 6 weeks and has great games, they're going to be talking about the MVP with him, because
I mean, he was playing MVP caliber ball to end last season, right? Like,
yeah, but like I feel like with the MVP, you got to like start off hot,
yeah,
and then like kind of. But if he beats these teams and plays well, there's gonna be MVP conversation, and he doesn't even really need to have an MVP season. I just want to see him repeat what he did last year.
100%. I mean, last year, my take on Trevor, you finally saw him live up to the number 1 overall pick, and it's because he finally had a coach that believes in him and weapons around him. 4,000 passing yard season. He was 5th in the NFL with touchdowns, 29. Last 6 games of the year, he had 15 touchdowns to 1 interception and also had 4 rushing touchdowns. And I think that's what really gets overlooked with Trevor Lawrence, his rushing ability. He's been a top 10 runner in success rate his whole career. 9 rushing touchdowns last season. That was second to only Josh Allen, who had 14. So this guy is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the game, even though it might not look like it on paper. He might not really come to mind like he is. And the fact that, he's younger than Tyler Shuck. So he's younger than, he's still got so much ball left in him, and we're finally seeing him having success. So I love the trajectory that he's on. I think that if we're talking about sports cards, if you want a guy to really buy, I think Trevor Lawrence is a buy right now. I mean, I'm sure his cards are still high, but I love Trevor. To wrap up the Jaguars, though, there's a guy that we haven't really touched on, and it's actually my X Factor. I think you said your X Factor was Travon Walker, correct?
Yep.
So my X Factor is kind of a cop-out one, but it's clearly, to me, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, the 2nd overall pick, they used 2 first, they traded up to get him, and they didn't have him the second half of last season, right, because he missed 10 straight games due to an injury, and the Jaguars went 9-1 when he wasn't in there. So it wasn't super detrimental. But coming into this year, when we lost a couple of guys on defense, and we're not really sure what this offense is going to look like, Travis Hunter has got to be there. He's got to live up to this 2nd overall pick Heisman type guy if the Jaguars really want to be successful, because he is their face of the defense. I'm getting so much conflicting reports though with how much snaps he's getting on D versus O. I believe the assumption is going to be he's going to be their number 1 corner and get very limited offensive reps. But then you see Liam Cohen talking about how he's the clear 3A, 3B wide receiver. So I'm not really sure what the game plan is going to be with Travis. Like I said, he's going to be a corner role. I think that's a little bit more valuable compared to how good they are in wide receiver room. But he's just got to inject that juice to this defense. He needs to be the guy that everyone's paying attention to. He needs to be like a Sauce Gardner, I would say, where you're allowing nobody's even looking your way because it's just not it's automatic incompletion. So he's the X factor. He's going to be the key to the Jags, especially on this defense that might be projected to take a step back.
Yeah, I mean, had a little something for Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter doesn't need to be Deion Sanders and Justin Jefferson at the same time. He needs to become a difference maker at corner and maybe go on the offensive side for 5 to 8 meaningful touches. That's it. Because last year they were talking about 80 snaps, 100 snaps. What's going on here with Travis Hunter? Now, the real question is does his presence flip games? And I don't know if it does on the offensive side. And he's looking pretty swole now. I don't know if you saw him.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's looking swole, so he's putting in work. It's just let's focus on corner, man. That's it. Be a lockdown corner. Maybe return a punt. Maybe return a kickoff. Or, go on the offensive side for a sweep or 2. That's really it, man. We don't need you on the offensive side. I hate to say it.
Yeah. All right, with that, I know we're kind of... Damn, it's already 1 hour, 15 minutes. A little longer episode. Been yapping. So let's get to it. So we went over each team. Let's quickly get into our predictions and who we got winning for this division. Capper, I'll let you start it. How do you have each of these teams finishing this year?
Yep. All right. I'm going to go Titans in the 4 spot. I'm going with the Colts because I think Lou's defense is going to be great, but I don't trust Daniel Jones with that Achilles tear. And then 2, I got the Texans. I love that defense. I think they'll still sneak into the wild card just because of that defense, but I don't trust CJ Stroud just yet. And that offensive line. We'll see what happens there. And number 1, I got the Jags. I think the Jags are going to be great defensively again this year. I think they're going to figure out the passing struggles they had on the defensive side, and Travis Hunter is going to be a lockdown corner. I believe in him, and I think Trevor Lawrence is going to repeat what he did last year.
Okay. I figured you were going to go that route. So what would you say is the main key for you taking the Jags over the Texans? Just the offensive line quarterback play?
No, it's going to be best quarterback play in the whole division. And then I'm going to say also I think Travis Hunter is going to be a lockdown corner next year.
Okay, and if we did the quarterback rankings in this division, would you take, I'm assuming Trevor Lawrence is going to be number 1. Number 2, would you take CJ Stroud or Daniel Jones?
I'm taking Cam Ward.
Okay.
If you put Cam Ward on the Houston Texans right now, they're going to the Super Bowl.
That's not true.
He can move
Cam Ward would probably,
he can move way better.
I'm assuming I'm sure he can, but he would probably have more turnovers than CJ Stroud.
No, he wouldn't. They'll just run the ball.
Hey, man, because if you put him on the Texans, then you're going to get even more excuses of, Cam Ward has no weapons around him. Offensive line's terrible. You put him in a shitty situation. I think the Titans honestly have better playmakers than the Texans.
All right, fine. Then I'll do this. We'll do this. We'll go. Trevor Lawrence 1. We'll go CJ Stroud 2. Then Cam Ward 3. Daniel Jones 4.
The Titans would win more games this year if CJ Stroud. I'm debating on that. Hold up. I'm not gonna say that. I jumped the gun a little bit on that take. I'm gonna take that back.
Yeah.
But all right. So how I have teams in the division. So Titans are going to be in last place. Like I said, their defense has just got so many holes. It's going to be a little bit more of a bridge year. Keep like another rebuilding year to get their Cam Ward and maybe Carnell Tate to build some chemistry. Third place is I'm honestly tempted to put the Jaguars in third place and put the Colts above them. The only thing that's holding me back is Daniel Jones isn't going to be fully healthy off the Achilles. And I also, the Alec Pierce injury, what's going on there. But then again, it's like you signed Sauce Gardner for a reason. Like they're bought in to win now. I think I'll put the Colts at third, but I might flip. I might flip very soon and put the Jaguars at third. But for now, I'm gonna stick with Colts at third place, just because of the injuries. Second place, we'll go Jacksonville. I just don't trust this offensive line, and I want to see the talent on this defense to outperform again this season. And the number 1 team in the division is clearly the Texans. The number 1 defense. I know that's kind of square, but I think CJ Stroud. He's going to have a bounce back year in a sense. He's got a lot of chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to be out to prove a lot of people wrong. And the offensive line for the Texans should be the best that he's had. May not be good, but it should be the best he's had. So hopefully we see some improvement there. Okay, with that, I think we covered everything we wanted to. I don't know if you have anything to add, Capper, but
no,
like I said, a little bit of a longer episode, guys, but you made it this far. Appreciate you tuning in. It was definitely fun talking this division. And our next episode, we're going to move to the I think we'll go to the West. I think we'll go to the NFC West and AFC West next week, and then we'll finish it off with Norse. We'll save the 2 best for last, in our opinion. But like we said, NFL season upon us. This is the last. So we're recording this on Saturday. It's the last Saturday with no football. At least college. We got some games next week. So I'm pretty pumped, man. It's gonna be a great year, great fall, best time of the year in my opinion. A lot of content coming our ways, especially on the You Don't Know Ball show. I'm also thinking about we got to look on how to go live here. I know, so all of the listeners out here, we record this, pre-record it, and then we edit it up. But I was looking at some live features, so if we can test that out, I think that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty sick to watch some football, and because you're in New Jersey or New York, so
yeah.
and I'm in Arizona, but that'd be pretty cool to do a little live recording.
Yeah, once we get into the season, we'll look into it. But all right, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Helps us grow the channel and keep producing for you. And then like the video, do all the good stuff. So, all right, we'll see you next time.